Hello, Meetle. It is crazy mid-spring tide. Duckies are outside, bar two. So, the dealio. I have a tincture here that I've made. I have booked the vet for tomorrow. They're not an avian vet though, unfortunately. It's one of those things, I sometimes know more than what they do in regards to avian because they aren't avian vets. You know what I mean? Is that... And I would pat to butter that a lot of keepers of ducks or chickens or any fowl that have kept them, you know, especially generationally, know a little bit more just in care and treatment and things like that. Not saying that they have the educational level of a vet, they don't. But at the end of the day, you need the vet for the prescription if you need it. So I do natural remedies, but I like to also take the prescription that's needed. For myself, I don't. I don't take drugs of any kind. I rarely, if I have to, willow bark, but I like to be honest with my own sense of where I'm at. I'm permanently disabled. I have to manage pain and disability on a daily basis. I don't want that numbed. I want to know the truth of where I'm at. So I've laid out my towel. I need to set up a table in the apothecary. I'm thinking of getting a special folding table. There's a few things I need to get. I need to get a stethoscope for class, and I also need to get baby scales. And in that, I also want to get a nursing bag and some sort of folding table that I can just pop up. So I can do this sort of thing in the actual apothecary, not in my office. Not that I mind. I mean, I put a towel down. If a poop comes out, it's no big deal. It's not like it's a cat or dog poop. That's just too stinky. But hey, I'm a bird brain. So I basically have a antibacterial, antiviral saline solution in here with some calming herbs as well. I've got some swabs. So I'm basically going to compress the eyes, both eyes, even though it's the left eye that's affected, of Frigg and Fenr, who are now in the bathtub. Excuse my disarray. Hello, puppies. Oh, my babies. So you can see their right eye now, it's fine. It's the left eye. So Frigg, I noticed last night, was closing his left eye like he's just doing now. Poor puppy. It was a big day yesterday, so I thought, oh, he's just, you know, tired. But then I noticed this morning, Fenr, this is her right side, it looks fine. On the left side, she's closing her left eye also, but she actually had a bit of white foamy discharge on her left eye this morning. I'm like, fuck, excuse my French. As you know, I already have a lot on my plate at the moment, rehabilitating the birds that I took on that, you know, issues after issues, and I need to, at some point, I need to get a bigger pram for the more comfortable journey. It's a 2.5 hour trip up, the treatment, and then see this eye here on Fenr on the right. And she does have white eyelids though, so don't get thrown off by that with her shutting her eye. So it's a 2.5 hour up trip treatment, 2.5 hour trip back. It's literally 6 hours, you know what I mean? So I need a bigger pram for that journey, and I'm still working on that last plug of Catherine. There are no vets down this way that would treat a bumble plug under a local. I'm not putting her under anaesthetic to get a plug removed. She can get that with a local. So local basically means that only the area that's being worked on is being numbed. A bit like when you go to the dentist. They don't put you to sleep, yeah? Most of the time. Because the problem is with birds especially, even when they're healthy, there's a risk of death with and complications with their heart and respiratory system, the circular system, cardiorespiratory system, I should say, with going under, and not just at the time, but later on as well. Like, it's often why they keep them overnight, sort of thing, with animals if they've been under or had any surgery. I remember when I had hip recon, I was under And afterwards, it was a 4-hour surgery. I had 3 surgeons and one like an under surgeon, not quite surgeon, but surgeon working on my hip. I was a mess. I was busted up like a piñata. But I just remember afterwards, I actually couldn't breathe without having oxygen. And my insurance company wanted to, not my insurance company, sorry, my insurance company got blocked by the Road Transport Authority here in Australia. Sorry, slight diversion. And they wanted to take me off because they didn't want to have to pay for another night. You know what I mean? And the problem is they blocked my insurance company from doing anything because when it's on the road sort of thing, you sign something and then that's it, they take over. And they really don't care about you getting what you need. They just, as little as money possible. They're literally a dodgy insurance company. And they don't even fix up the potholes in the road like they're meant to. You know what I mean? That sort of nonsense. But anyway, the long and the short of it, I remember myself, being under. I couldn't get my breathing back. So I'm not going to put my puppies through that if I don't need to. The only vet I can find that will do an X-ray or even bumblefoot plug without having to go under is down in Burwood. So it's, again, 6 hours. So the thing is, when I spoke to that vet over the phone, this is the one in Burwood, they pretty much said I've got to remove the plug. I can't find anyone down this way that would do it under local. The one that is in closest to me on this side of town, I still have to go into the city and then go out because we don't have connecting trains. They force us to go into the city. So to get there, it's a 4.5 hour trip and then 4.5 hours back. I'm not exaggerating. So it's actually quicker for me to get to the other side of the Melbourne city than it is to go to another country town in my area. It's insane. Transport in the country is ridiculous, yet they charge us more for it. It's just, obviously they don't want people in the country for some reason. I wonder why. Lots of greedy and horrible people and organisations, But anyway, so I just remember that. So the thing with Catherine's plug is I have started doing a drawing salve, and I want to tweak the formula I've made a little bit, but I've got enough for doing her treatment. I've resorted it down to under a pin needle. It was 1/4 centimetre in size. Originally it was the entire flipper. Well, not the toes, just the footbed. It was over a centimetre in diameter. I got it down to 1/4 just from doing herbal soaks. Look at them, they're loving the herbs. If you're wondering what's in here, it's a antibacterial, antiviral. Look at this. It's rosemary, marjoram, and stachy, so lamb's ear in there. And it's good for them. It's warm as well, so they like to duck their heads in the water, which is what I want them to do. It's good for their eye. And then after I, let them have their time in here, I'm going to take one out each time. Now, I'm not just going to treat the eye that's infected. I'm actually going to also treat the other eye. I don't know if you've ever had conjunctivitis before. Oh, sorry, just back to Catherine, finishing off of that. So I've got it down to a pinhead. It's almost completely gone, but I'm noticing she doesn't have a lot of strength to extend or flex her toes. I don't know if she's had broken toes before, so we'll need to get an X-ray, and the only place that will do it without having to put her under is down in Burwood. So when I spoke to the vet over the phone, he's like, well, you got to get the plug removed. So it's nearly gone completely. It's going to take me a month or two to financially, because I've got to go to the vet now for these two. And so it's going to take me a couple of months. Also, I need to get a bigger pram. I need to get some more locks for the place for when I'm not here. It's so funny now. My left eye is twitching, and it's their left eyes that's playing up. That's the other thing, when something's going on with my animals, I actually feel it. Oh, it's ridiculous. It was great when I was a personal trainer. I could feel exactly where my clients were, and I knew when they were bullshitting me and they hadn't done their homework, sort of thing. I knew every time. I had one accuse me of spying on him at work because he's like, "How did you know?" I was actually looking through the window to see if you're watching me. It's like I can actually feel what you're thinking. I can feel how you are and where you're coming from, which is great as a PT. But sometimes it's not so great with the state of people today. A lot of people are just so dodgy, man. This is disgusting. I hate it. They're really vile. Like they just consume, and they see nature as stuffs. They have no connection. It's like they've lost their souls. I see a lot of soulless people around, just walking meat suits, pretty much. And yeah, I can't handle being around them. So it's going to take me a couple of months to get Catherine down there. In that time, I'm just continuing to do her physical therapy. I'm going to do a recording of her. I have to support her crop and kill somewhat as she preens in the morning and in the afternoon with the hydrotherapy bath that she has. But I'll show you what I mean with her strength. But she's slowly getting better. So down to these two. Now I suspect Frigg is actually the one that got some sort of respiratory infection. Usually an eye infection is secondary. From what I can observe and the background and interaction and, knowing my flock, I actually think from mating that Frigg has aggravated her sinuses and she's got a slight infection. And when you see a frothy discharge like she had this morning when I looked at her in the sleep box, that's usually the body's trying to push out some sort of pathogen or some sort of infection, usually aggravated from the sinuses from mating. And at spring, around the spring season throughout to early summer, the boys are extra active. Everyone's off their choppers. I mean, like even my girl Bella will be jumping on the girls. she thinks she's helping the boys, if you know what I mean. It's quite funny. But I also think it's I'm the matriarch sort of thing. They have a pecking order. She likes to be the top dog amongst the girls. So the thing is with the girls, when they get an eye infection, more often than not, it's because of the mating antics of the boys. I'll do a discussion one day on why I love boys and I would never not have boys, and why I think at the end of the day it works out better to have boys and girls together. You just need to manage it, and it's going to put you out and you need to be on your toes, but at the end of the day their needs come first before yours, and if you're not ready for that, then don't own ducks, basically put. Same with any other animal. If you're not prepared for that, then don't have them. If you want cute, go buy yourself a teddy bear. These are little lives, and they're no different to children in that they are dependent on your care, and you need to be the adult, and you need to make some decisions, and sometimes they're hard to make sometimes. So the girls, often there's a common term of frothy eye or bubble eye that comes up with the girls, and it's usually from mating. But Frigg, I noticed last night, was closing his left eye more than normal, and I'm thinking, so backtrack 4 months ago when I got Flint Fireforge, the two apples, so the two that I've had to rehabilitate, he had major respiratory infection, big time. He couldn't breathe that well, the poor pup. He's all pretty much gone now. His cheeks are puffy, he's a breed, but they were extra chunky puffy, and that was because he actually had sinus infection. So the sinuses of a duck run all the way down their neck. So as you can imagine with the girls, when they're grabbed at the back of the head by the boys, that aggravates their sinuses. But the thing with the Frigg here, I actually suspect that he somehow has got a little bit left, whatever was left over with Flint Fireforge, even though he's fully fine now. I mean, I did quarantine them all when they came and everything, but still I think somehow Frigg has picked it up. Add to that, everyone's very stressed. I don't have all my flock together like I would like. I'm still juggling who's with who and changing things on the day by day if I need to. Yeah, I have no life at all. Like, I didn't have a life before, but I really don't have a life now. But I'm determined that I'm going to have this entire flock healthy, tip top, and together and adjusted. You know, even if it takes me another year, I will do it. But I'm hoping by the end of this year, when we go into the molting and the more calmer time of the year, I can start really introducing the boys all together and that sort of thing. But I suspect Frigg has got some sort of respiratory, caught, you know, whatever fragments was left from Flint Fireforge somehow, and he has probably passed it on to Fenr here. Now, I only have 2 runs for the ducks and they are divided. I don't have a third run, even though I do want a third run for this sort of thing, isolating completely. But I don't have that now. It is in the plans in the future. Again, money and time, just not right now, I can't do it. So they are going to be inside with me today and tomorrow. So the vet visit is Thursday in the afternoon. So basically 2 herbals. I will take Frigg and Fenr out now. There's a dang fly that got in here. It's driving me nuts. I hate flies. Sorry, that's one thing I don't like is flies. As soon as you open the door, the bastards come in. Maybe if I turn the light off. Oh, then you can't see. So I'm going to basically take them each out one at a time, take them to my desk, do a compress, one each. I'm going to pop Fenr in the box, which is cleaned out, and I'm going to go for a walk to the shops with Frigg in the pram. He's never been in the pram before, neither has Fenr. So today we're going to go into the shops. I need to go and get some more noodles so I can administer things, and also get some more nutritional yeast. And I'm taking Frigg with me so he can get a little bit used to the pram, and also for him to get out with me. It's going to be nice to spend some downtime with him. He's never been ill. I've never had to separate him before in the entire 3.5 years that I've had him. He's, you know, really hardy, and boys, unfortunately though, sometimes they really don't like to let on they're not well, things aren't right. And sometimes, especially with roosters and chickens, by the time you know something's wrong, it's literally almost too late. You know what I mean? They're very, they're hardwired to put the needs of the girls before them. You know, regardless of all the antics that freak us out sometimes with the boys, at the end of the day, without them, the girls, you know, are really, really defenseless, and they're really sweet. I love my boys. So yeah, so I'll be putting Fenr in here. So, and I'll put some YouTube videos on of the ducks so she can hear them. It's kind of dark in here, nice temperature, not hot, not cold. And take Frigg, come back, cook some noodles, get them both out there, put them in there, feed everyone noodles outside, feed them noodles inside, and let them chill a little bit. And then I'm going to put them in the bath again, that same herbal water. Then I need a bath myself, and then before long, then it'll be like mid-afternoon, late mid-afternoon. It's time to get everyone into the bath, and oh gosh, it's just crazy. So anyway, eye infections, compress. Usually when you get a script from a vet, you may have antibiotics, and the amount is dependent on the weight of your bird, and also what is wrong. That and or eye ointment, which is also antibiotic usually. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking terramycin. I can't. I'll put it down in the description after. But I remember my cat Shah. She'll be 29 years old in October. When I first got her, she was only a kitten of a few weeks old, and she had an eye infection, and I had to put ointment on her eye 3 times a day, so it's probably going to be the same thing. But I'll also continue doing the eye compress and eye wash with them as well. And last of all, eye issues, it's a good idea to massage down the neck gently and around the eye, because that will help get the circulation going of the sinuses. Because remember, the sinuses are what hit the most. A bit like when you got hay fever. That's kind of what they're feeling. But anyway, bit of an update. So I guess I'll tag this as duck eyes. Infections, or I'll figure it out. But that's it from me. Blessed be Mary Part. I had planned on doing some garn posts today, but this is Ducklife. It's what happens. And I'll get my babies sorted. Blessed be and Mary Part.